I'm not going
The
to
problem with me and Taylor is we'll move in. We'll live here. Okay, let's do it.
We got out of our system. I'm fucking locked in. I'm standing on business right now.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's Sam, and welcome to Caps Lock, a podcast designed to help you live bigger, better, louder, and longer. Before we get started, I just want to thank you guys for listening and for giving this a chance and for coming here in pursuit of your best self. This is a space where we are going to grow together, and my hope is that it helps you go forward confidently, unapologetically, and with purpose. It's time to live your life in Caps Lock. If that mission feels aligned for you, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and let's dive in. Today's guest is a creator, athlete, podcaster, and activist who most recently found herself on your For You page after getting pregnant. A self-identified type A oversharer, which I know we can all relate to, she decided to learn as much as she could about prenatal health, pregnancy, and postpartum, and was shocked at how much information was not easily accessible to women. So she set out on a mission to share it all online. Millions of views, an unmedicated birth, and one beautiful baby boy later, she is here on Caps Lock to give us the scoop on what we don't know about this journey. As someone who wants children someday, I am oftentimes horrified to learn something about pregnancy or labor or delivery or what have you that we definitely should have been taught at some point in our lives. And as you guys know, my mission with this podcast is to talk about these kinds of things in an earnest and open and safe environment so that we don't have to go through all of it alone or in the dark. So today, please join me in welcoming to the show Taylor Ray Roman, which I almost got wrong just now because that's your new name.
I know. Oh my gosh. Also love your intro. It was really giving.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's giving professional actor. I love that for you.
It's giving a little bit like, I'm wondering if I should like change it up now that we've been doing the podcast for 6 months.
No, I love it. I feel like it's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It feels very natural, and it kind of, to me, it gives the message of the show, which is like, I want you to live.
Absolutely.
Live it up, girl.
Absolutely.
That's
Live it
the
up,
jam.
girl.
Taylor and I met at Rumble.
Yes, literally, I was your trainer. That was when my whole personality was boxing. Now my whole personality is pregnancy, motherhood.
Yeah,
you
but
know, I
we're
reinvent myself.
multidimensional.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are. You have it all in there.
I'm just in my motherhood era, but that's literally what I said this morning when I was like recording Sam's show in my motherhood era. But don't worry, like my human rights boxer girl, she's still in there.
She's there.
We're mixing it up.
And she comes out here and there.
And she does.
The thing that the reason I almost never bring anyone who's not a doctor or an expert on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Technically expert, whatever, like with some kind of background in their work in a topic. But I just feel like I'm not even like a personal story girl. Like I almost never want someone to come on here and be like, this is what happened to me. But you navigated this whole thing in such a fascinating way and in a way that I think so much of my audience can relate to, which is like you wanted to know everything before it happened.
Yeah.
And I know because you posted it on TikTok, you used like peer-reviewed research and articles. You're not like telling your personal story and being like, here's what happened to me, so you should do this too.
100%.
And you're never also saying like, this should work for everyone. You're like doing serious research. And I think you used the Columbia Library, right?
Yeah,
While you
I
were in
think
school.
it was kind of perfect because I was writing my thesis. So I just got my MA in human rights, for those that don't know, at Columbia. And my thesis was on access to outdoor exercise and recreation for incarcerated women of color.
Obsessed.
So I say all of my work meets at the intersection of racial justice and wellness.
Mhm.
And so that was like what my thesis was about. And I've worked in prisons for about 3 years now, teaching courses, not fitness courses, because people always think that, theater and literature courses, because I also used to be an actor. That used to be my personality a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So now it was really amazing because I had access to the Columbia Library, and that gave me an opportunity because I was writing my thesis. I basically wasn't like Googling things. I would literally just hop onto the library and be like, okay, what does this paper say? Let's find like a peer-reviewed paper. Let's like find a journal that I really love. Let's see what they're saying about it. Let me read the source material. So there would be a question like something, for example, that always comes up is sleep on your left side while you're pregnant.
Right.
Don't sleep on your back. So I said, why?
Right.
And then I found tons of things when I Googled that are like just snippets of a study that was done, and I was like, I want to read the study.
Sure.
What does the study say?
That's literally what we do on this podcast.
Right. And the study was talking about when you fall asleep on your left side. But if you're moving throughout the night, that's not really an issue. It was saying it's the side that you fall asleep on. That's what the study did, at least.
Wow.
It was talking specifically about like falling asleep, not while you're during the entire night.
Sure. So if you wake up on your right side, you don't need
to freak out.
Right.
But that isn't really what Google was telling me. That's not what like this random article was saying. It wasn't giving me the full picture.
Yeah.
And
also everything is like exaggerated in a headline for clickbait, and most people don't do the backup research.
Absolutely. And then people are just hearing like, well, what does their doctor say? What does their midwife say? What does their doula say? And that's amazing.
Yeah.
You should listen to those experts. You should listen to those people with those backgrounds. But like, I want to read the source material so that I can make a decision.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where I started all of my research. Like every question I had, I said, okay, what does the source material say?
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert, but what do they say? What do the experts actually say?
Yeah, I love that. That is literally the entire mission of this show, is like when I do my solo episodes, they're all researched on like PubMed or JSTOR or Google Scholar.
We love JSTOR.
For that.
Shout out to JSTOR.
I remember that shit from high school. You remember that shit from recently.
Literally.
That is cool. But like the whole thing is medical research is very often not accessible to women, or if it is accessible to us, we are not the research subjects. Men are the research subjects.
Yes.
They didn't test. I say this all the time, but it to me is such a little microcosm of the female experience, is that like they didn't test seatbelts on women till the 70s. That makes me sick. But that's how all of it is. You find that like, oh, are your polyester leggings making you infertile? Guess what? The only major research done on humans was done on men.
Yeah.
And then you come to find out like, yeah, it does create an electrostatic field around women's reproductive organs, but it's not nearly as bad as the electrostatic field around men.
Mm-hmm.
So, then someone's on the internet being like, never wear your leggings again.
Yeah.
And then people are like, I need bamboo gym shorts. And it's like, we're feeding into this capitalist machine.
So true.
Because we got duped in a reel. So
and even
I love that approach.
What I was just saying about like, I'm in grad school in like literally an elite institution where I have access to pretty much every journal, every publication I could want through Columbia. Most people don't have access to these journals. They don't have access to the Columbia Library.
Totally.
They try to look it up on like Google Scholar, which is a great resource for just like anyone, right? You're not at a university. You don't have
we don't have
access to a library. Look it up on Google Scholar, but then you need to pay for it to read the full article, or you need library access through something. And so even that makes it really inaccessible for people, even if they know how to find the information.
Totally. And I have thoughts about that, right?
Yeah.
Like I do kind of feel like this information should be freely accessible to people who care to seek it
Which is why I try to share it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sharing it with you right now.
That is badass. And that's why you're here, because I know you will. I know you'll tell me everything. So let's start with, how did you know you wanted a kid in the first place? Because I feel like more recently, if you ask someone, like when they're getting married or when they're like having their life and you're kind of like, do you want kids? More recently, I'm hearing more, I don't know.
For sure.
No, maybe one. Like, which by the way, I think is a cultural shift where it used to be, let's have 100 kids.
Yeah.
Everyone. And that's like the meaning of life.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I've absolutely noticed that as well. So I always knew really that I wanted at least one child. My oldest niece now is 18, which I cannot believe.
Crazy.
But when I was 14, she was born, and she is like the love of my life. I have 3 nieces. I'm obsessed with all of them. And I was just FaceTiming her yesterday, and she was like, I'm your first baby. And I was like, that's a fact.
Facts, correct.
And so I was 14 and I was like, can't wait to have a baby.
Sure.
Iconic, glorious, amazing. Then when I met my husband, we both knew we wanted a baby at some point. We've been together 10 years now. And so that was always like on my mind, in my heart. But pretty much like, I can't remember a time I wanted more than one kid. I always was like, pretty sure I'm going to have one. Like I have an older sister and 2 younger siblings, but I wasn't raised with them.
Okay.
And so I pretty much grew up as an only child, had an iconic experience with my parents. My husband's an only child. We were like 3 peas in a pod. Same thing with him and his parents. We were like, that was great. I had a great time. I had a blast. I love that for me. And I was like having one child, then you know, going through pregnancy can be really tough. And I had an uncomplicated, I remember I saw you and I was
Yes.
like, pregnancy's so hard. You were like, oh, have you had complications? I said, no,
No,
none.
It's just hard.
Just hard.
Just hard.
Just a hard time.
Just hard.
So like pregnancy is hard. Delivery is hard. Postpartum is hard.
Yeah.
Girl, I need to build up this body back.
Yeah.
My abs are separated. My belly button was inside out, upside down, backwards, forward, sideways.
And then, by the way, you have to keep the baby alive.
And then I got to keep this baby alive. I'm doing this one time.
Yeah.
And I want to have fun stuff. I want to have a fun life. I want to travel. I want to live. I said, I'm doing this one time. And
also, by the way, the research now has shifted on like how much money you actually need to raise a kid.
You need an endless supply.
You basically need $1 million to raise a kid to 18.
Literally.
Are you okay?
Literally. Like,
what?
No. So for me, I was like, let's do it cute. Let's do it one. Yeah. Let's keep it cute. Let's pour everything into him.
Yeah.
Let's make him a great human. Let's make a great man on this world, in this earth that like is a beautiful person. Let's just do it one time.
And I know from your TikTok that people have a problem with that.
They're mad.
Which is crazy because they're strangers. So it's crazy to me when a stranger has a problem with you.
I'm so dead.
But I'm curious to know like what they're saying. I know in one of your videos, there were some comments of people being like, I grew up so lonely. And you were like, have you considered that
you have a
people
bad
just don't like you?
personality?
Which, by the way, is that my personality is that video. Like in a nutshell, that's me. I was like, yeah, because you both basically grew up only children.
Yeah.
Great parents, great personalities, great experience. I don't think it's always the only child thing that makes you an isolated human being in the world. Like if you have great parents and great friends, you're probably not depressed about it. So and like, what are you hearing and like, what's your opinion?
So I get some comments that I think are completely valid that are like, I had terrible parents. So if you have bad parents and you're an only child, absolutely, that sounds terrible. It's a horrible experience. I'm very sorry for you. I don't want that for anyone.
No.
If you have great parents and you have a full life, you have like activities that you're doing outside of school, this obviously requires you to have other resources, like 100%. But if you have that, I feel like there's nothing that's taken away from you from being an only child. Like another thing I hear is, well, when my parents are older, when I lose my parents, I'm not going to have anyone. And like my grandfather passed away about a year ago. And like you know who was right next to my dad? Me. I was there with my dad. I'm his child. Yeah. Like I'm not, my dad has 4 siblings. Yeah, they were there. Love that. It was me and my husband like holding my dad.
Yeah.
And I feel like your social network, your friends, like you have no guarantees by having children. People say they'll take care of you when you're older. You don't have any guarantees like that if you have a bunch of kids, they're gonna take care of you. You don't have any guarantees that if you have siblings, you're gonna be best friends.
Yeah.
Like I have an older sister. We're not really close. Like I knew so many people that are just not that close with their siblings, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, I don't think that anyone should be told, be impregnated, carry this child to full term, give birth.
Meanwhile, many of these are the same people who are like pro-choice.
Right.
Sorry.
Which is not health neutral. Being pregnant is not health neutral.
At all.
It is not something that like you just do it and move on. Being pregnant rocks your world mentally, physically, socially, your relationships, like financially. It rocks your world. I had 0 interventions. I didn't even have an IV. My hospital bill is still $25,000. Like I didn't even have an IV, girl. I didn't even have a little IV drip.
That makes me sick.
The doctor also missed delivery. I just shot my baby. I will talk about this later, but like the doctor didn't even. So I'm still paying you. You didn't even.
You weren't even there. You weren't even there.
So all that being said, like it is not a neutral experience. So to think I'm going to tell this stranger to have another baby.
Plus, by the way, all the health risks and the dangers to your body are extreme.
And so, yeah, I feel like if you want to have 5,000 children, you live your life, baby doll. You do that. I hope that you can raise them to be financially, mentally, socially sound. And I hope you can somehow stretch 24 hours in a day to spend it all with that many kids. But you know what? You do you.
Yeah.
And for me, I will have one.
And that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough of an answer. Actually, the enough of an answer is ignoring them. But I understand because sometimes I can't not defend myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are some things that just really like hit and it makes me angry.
Yeah.
So I respond. Like I can't let that go. Okay. You decide you want a baby. You decide you want one. Where did you start? Because like, what's the first Google? There's so much information out there. I know that you're like, I want the real source. So that's where you go. But like, what was the first search? Where Where did it begin?
So I think about 2 years before I started trying to conceive, I was really thinking that's when we got married. That's when we were thinking, okay, we want to spend some time just us, but then we know we do want to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I really wanted to think about, well, when am I at risk for having a harder time to get pregnant? So I started looking at around what age am I like, okay, you are, it's getting a little bit too late.
Sure.
That being said, of course, there are so many ways to get pregnant as you get older. But I was thinking, okay, what does the research say?
Right.
So I was like, okay, between 35 and 37, I'm starting to get into an area that like it's a little bit more risky.
And the options are just a little more limited.
Right. The options are a little bit more limited. And at the time I was 29. So I was like, okay, I don't need to wait 5 or 7 years. I know that I can be pregnant sooner and be happy.
Right.
And then I was in grad school. So I thought, okay, I want to graduate before, I don't want to like have a baby and still be writing my thesis.
Close
that
call.
sounds terrible.
It was a close call in the end.
Well, I got pregnant right on schedule. My graduation date was the same as my due date. It was literally the same day. So I thought, wow, I really timed it perfectly, babe.
Ate?
Really ate with that. Really on schedule. It's giving punctual.
It is.
So I started about 2 years before just like marinating on, okay, when do I want to aim to be pregnant? Then I heard for the first time preconception health. I'd never even heard that term. And I was like, what does that mean? People are not talking about this.
No.
What is preconception health? And I had a really hard time finding like one book on preconception health. It was little bits and pieces in all these books about fertility and pregnancy and IVF and trying to conceive and being pregnant and diet around pregnancy, like little bits and pieces everywhere. So that's really where I started my journey on like, what is preconception health? What can I do to get my body ready? And that's where the research began.
This is perfect because my follow-up question is you did a video on your preconception protocols, like how you did get your body ready.
Right.
You want to hit me with some of those?
Absolutely. I wrote some notes so I can give it to you. So I have my own podcast.
Yes.
And I have a full episode. I have one episode that's on preconception health in general for like men and women. Then I have like my preconception protocols, an entire episode where I go in depth, and then another one for my husband, everything in depth.
That's perfect.
So you can like go there if you want like the full like hour long scoop.
Perfect.
But I will give you just like the quick little Spark Notes version.
Cliff Notes.
So 1 to 2 years before, first of all, I started my couples therapy because your brain needs to be well.
People are not ready to hear it, but I am
ready to hear it. But your brain needs to be well because pregnancy is going to rock your socks.
Yeah.
And postpartum is the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
And like, thank God for Richard.
Literally. And if I wasn't mentally well, like, no, this is why like everyone loses their mind when they're pregnant, and they deserve to.
Yeah.
You deserve to lose your
like
mind.
You didn't do the work.
Yes. So literally we were in couples therapy so I could have my little mental breakdowns beforehand because I thought my body is going to be ripped to shreds. It was. Like it actually was.
Yeah.
And I was able to process that before being pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought my life has changed forever. It was. I thought this is extremely permanent and like so intense. And it is.
Yeah.
And so couples therapy, you begin there.
Love.
Then tracking my period and ovulation, getting off birth control. You want to start that. You want to see like, where's my cycle? I was on birth control for so many years. Where am I at? I started taking my temperature to just like track my cycle every morning. So get into that. Then reading up on milestones of pregnancy and what to expect. So you could think, okay, first trimester, you might be a little bit sick. You might be a little bit fatigued. Let me start talking about that with my partner.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about how that might affect work, how that might affect my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like thinking about what is pregnancy like. If you could have more time to prepare, I think that really saved me because as soon as I told my husband, oh, I can't do a single thing, he believed me right away because we knew that was coming. He wasn't shocked by that. So that's a few years before. Then what to expect at important OBGYN appointments, genetic testing, and common birth defects. I recommend learning about this 1 to 2 years before because there's nothing like going in for genetic testing and them telling you came back positive for some genetic abnormalities and you thinking this baby's already in my body and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
My anxiety is through the roof.
Right. 100%.
Versus, 2 years before I heard about this, I am still anxious, but I'm okay.
And like I know what it is and I was prepared for.
Right. You don't have to like deep dive, but at least be like, these are some common ones.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Then 6 months before is when I really got into it. So I started my omega, folate, prenatal, and choline. I also started COQ10. So those are all the supplements, and I go more in depth in like my episode. Like I said, I started taking all of those 6 months before to really get these eggs as ready as they can.
Totally.
Like you can't completely change your egg quality, but like you can do some things. You could support. So we started with all of those. I also cut out alcohol, which was, I know you're all about that journey.
I'm all about it.
That was honestly, it's crazy because I'm like, wow, now I'm like almost 2 years, like barely drinking because I started it 6 months before. And that was tough because you're not pregnant.
Yeah.
You're not even trying to conceive, but you're cutting out alcohol. So like really finding that why and being like, this is going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And so did my husband. So it was like both of us cutting out alcohol.
Amazing.
And that's also where I started my deep core and my pelvic floor work because I realized I was like 28 and like peeing sometimes when I did jumping jacks.
Crying. You're like,
Girl,
that's not good.
I was like, this
not
pelvic floor is giving weak.
I'm crying.
I was like, I remember I was jumping on a trampoline and I was peeing a little. And I was like, I'm so young. I've never been pregnant. This is not good.
No.
So you got to start that beforehand.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that. Then 3 months before is when I started LH tests, which are just like measuring a hormone that can help you plan when you're most fertile.
Okay.
And then adding my fertility tracker for better accuracy, adding those LH tests to my fertility tracker, and also using pH balancing lube, which a lot of people don't really think about.
No.
And like it's really funny because me and my husband were crying laughing when we
you're
got
like,
it.
This is a medical
I was
choice.
like, this is a medical necessity. And you like inject the lube like into your vagina.
No, you don't.
So we were like, wow, this is so sexy.
I'm crying.
Let's
You're
get
like,
ready.
love.
Let me just inject this lube.
What does
really
that
quick.
do?
So really, it's not a must. It's not like you must use this or you might not get pregnant. People get pregnant accidentally every day that don't do this, right? But it just like makes a more hospitable environment.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I have every resource available. I have time on my side. Why not do everything I can?
Right.
And so let's inject this pH balancing lube. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Why not?
And is that where the preconception health ended and then conception began? Because you got pregnant on the first try.
And yes, I did.
Before we do that, do you have any tips for the boyfriends and fiancés and husbands of the world?
Yes, I do.
Want to do male preconception health?
I do. So luckily my husband was preparing for the New York Marathon. So he was like really in his like health and fitness journey at that time. So of course, all the things like really all the things that everyone tells you every day of your life keep you healthy, being hydrated, eating a balanced diet, all those things still stand. Like that's nothing crazy. I'm not a dietitian. Literally just like be healthy in a normal way.
Actually not that hard.
Yeah, get enough sleep, like just,
Right.
The normal things. Aside from that, what I will really say is getting a semen analysis is something that so many men don't want to do. I've had multiple friends text me, my boyfriend doesn't want to do it. My husband doesn't want to do it.
You mean like after learning about it and being asked to do it?
Being like, my husband, can your husband talk to him? He doesn't want to do it.
What?
I don't know if it's like male fragility, just like at an all-time high, just like you're having a mental breakdown that your semen's not strong. But like you should really just, it's so
Wouldn't you
easy.
rather know?
Wouldn't you rather know?
That is insane. I spoke to an exceptionally brilliant OBGYN on the show a couple weeks ago. So anyone listening, if you're interested, go back and listen. Her name is Dr. Jessica Shepard. And she actually said, I asked, like, what should we do before we are trying to conceive? And that was the first thing she said was like both
I love
partners
that.
should
Good
go
for her.
do
Shout out to
fertility
her.
testing. And she specifically said men are almost never brought into the conversation until
There's
it
an
has
issue.
been or until it's been completely ruled out that it's the woman. And that is such a misogynistic take because of how much of pregnancy health is related to males' fertility health.
Yes.
And that's insane to me that they don't even consider it. I find it deeply offensive that like men who are asked
wouldn't do
don't
it.
even want to do it.
Absolutely. So I will also say my number one preconception tip is have a good partner.
Yeah.
Have a good partner, babe. So my husband right away was like, yeah, let me do the semen analysis. It's really funny because he had to bring in the sample. They were like, put it in your waistband and just bring it in. So he walks into the office. They're like, okay, just put it on the counter. He's like, it's in my pants. You said to keep it in my pants to keep it warm. And the woman's like, yeah, just take it out of your pants. So he's like reaching in his pants in the reception area and just like puts it on the counter. And she's like, great, bye.
No
So
way.
he was like sick.
Hilarious.
So doing your semen analysis, highly recommend. And then cutting out alcohol.
Yeah.
Some studies have said that it could even be more impactful for the male partner to do this than the woman. So if you're in a heterosexual relationship, so highly recommend that. He was on his supplements, which was a multivitamin, folate, fish oil, and ashwagandha. He also took COQ10. and then removing like endocrine disrupting chemicals from the environment, which we both did. Then the last thing, which is like a little bit hippy dippy, but he stopped like going in hot tubs, being in super hot environments.
Yeah, no, that's actually not hippy dippy.
So it's like I've read some studies that are like, yeah, this can have a real impact, and some are like, it's so marginal, it's so minimal.
Yeah.
But we were like, again,
Why not?
Must you go in a hot tub?
Right.
Do you need it?
Not urgent.
Do you urgently need a hot tub, babe? You really don't. You're good.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I talk about this a lot because we're really big sauna people. We love it. But the same research on the polyester fertility thing that I was telling you about earlier, part of the reason that the male fertility dropped so low is because polyester is not breathable and the body temperature. That's why the testicles exist outside the body, is so that they're not heated to a certain level. And so they were actually saying, we're not actually sure it's like the microplastic part of polyester. It's actually
The
largely
breathability.
the temperature. And so that was really interesting. So we talk about that too.
Yeah.
That was really good and like concise and
Yeah,
actionable.
try to give it to you.
Yeah, I'm
quick.
obsessed because the girlies can write that shit
Yeah,
down.
absolutely. We love an actionable
We do.
tips.
What else do you wish you knew or like think everybody should know about trying to conceive? Like, was there anything that really shocked you?
I feel like what people should really know about trying to conceive is most of the time your doctor, if you go to just like your general physician, what they're going to tell you is try for 6 months. If there's an issue, come back, we'll talk about it. And a lot of the books I was reading was even saying, if you're healthy, if you have everything going well, then just as long as you're having sex regularly, you will get pregnant. And to me, I think that's crazy because we have science. Like why would I just be like, let me just be random and just hope for the best.
Relatable.
And I talked to even my mom and she's like, that's what we did. We just like were random and hope for the best. And it took me like 7 months and I was freaking out. And I was like, am I infertile? And I was like, did you ever track your cycle? She said, no, I didn't even know what that was. My mom was like, I listened to your podcast and I think, wow, good thing Taylor came out okay. Cause I didn't know anything.
Crying.
And so I'm like, sure, there are so many things that impact our fertility and it is such a sensitive topic because obviously if you're having a hard time getting pregnant, you don't want to hear if you tracked better, you'd get pregnant.
100%.
No, of course not.
Right.
Like your body's going to do what it's going to do and there's so many things out of our control. That being said, I always say, but what could I control? There are things I could control. I could track my cycle. I could take my temperature every day. I could take the supplements. I could try my best to, have the information. And I think that is what everyone should know before trying to conceive. There are so many things you can't control, but there are things you can. So like start there and do the semen analysis. Don't torture yourself for 6 months. And then, eventually you go through all of this testing, which might be super invasive. And then finally your partner gets a semen analysis a year later.
Right.
Like do what you can as soon as you can.
Right. And a number of those factors you can control are both free and accessible, right? Like sleeping better, exercising.
Not drinking alcohol, that's free.
It's actually going to save you money. It's going to negative. You're going
to be
money.
wealthier.
Right. You're going to make
not.
it.
Yeah.
And also, it strikes me as we talk about this that we don't raw dog anything else. Like if you want a job, you study 4 years and spend a lot of money to learn how to do that job before you get it. Right? Like, so why would you not prepare for arguably the biggest job of your life? Right?
Literally. It's forever. It's
forever.
eternal.
And it's an enormous responsibility. I would say a more enormous responsibility than
anything.
Marketing a consumer product. Right?
Yes.
So it does strike me that we prepare for everything else so much more than a lot of people prepare even for bringing life into the world.
Yes.
And that's upsetting. Okay, so you discover you're pregnant. What's the first thing you do? What do you do? Do you call your doctor?
So this is actually crazy. And I wrote down the info so I could get the weeks correctly. So first thing is when you find out that you're pregnant, you are 4 weeks pregnant. That everyone's confused. You think, what? I'm 0 weeks pregnant. What do you mean, babe? This is the soonest I could test. It's 0. But the thing is, so most people don't know the exact date that they conceived. I do because I'm a crazy person, but also because we literally had sex one time in my
I remember.
Yeah, in the time that I was like fertile. Basically, I took my LH test. It said you have 2 days left, and I thought I had 5. So I was like, today is the only day.
Get over
this is the day. So I like inject my pH balancing lube. It's like the least sexy experience of my life. It's so clinical when you're like, this was the first time we tried. So I said, this is it. Make it count.
Yeah.
I was like, make it count. Like, Make it happen.
Okay.
So
And he did.
So he did. Shout out to you, Richard. Good for you.
off, Richard.
He was like, I should bottle this and sell it for millions.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So literally, we're being so clinical about it. We're like, okay, we did sex. And it's so funny because it's also our wedding anniversary. So we said most iconic date
Of conception
most iconic
ever.
time. So literally we do sex one time. So I know the exact date that I conceived. Most people don't because
Right.
they're, you know, not me. Not
Because
doing
they're raw
that.
dogging
They're
it,
raw
for lack of a
dogging
better
it.
word.
And they are not me. That being
Right.
said, that's why it's measured by the first date of your last menstrual cycle. So
Got
you
it.
had your period this day. That was the first date. They count that as like you're pregnant
Got it.
to just have like some sort of date that they could nail down
Okay.
because it's otherwise there would be like no date that
It's
your
not consistent,
OBGYN
right.
could consistently use. So that being said, you find out you're pregnant the earliest day that you're testing, you're already 4 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
So know that. You will not see in the United States really an OBGYN before you're 8 to 10 weeks.
So weird.
So
you do
that
nothing.
means for 4 to 6 more weeks, you do not see an OBGYN.
Whoa.
That's most people. If you have an OB, which like I would recommend, I did not do this, which for all my preparation, I didn't think to do this. I found my OBGYN once I found out I was pregnant because I didn't think I'd get pregnant that quickly.
Right. For
I
sure,
didn't
actually.
think that. I was in grad school. I was going to the health center with like literal 18-year-olds, like going to the health
You're
center
like, I
at
have a
30,
nurse.
literally,
I have a school nurse.
because I had such good health insurance through Columbia that I
Yeah.
wasn't on my husband's. I was just like going to the health center, getting my little checkup. I didn't have an OB for like over two years.
Wow.
And the one that I had was a gynecologist, not an
Right, not an
obstetrician. Obstetrician? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I need one. I found the one. I knew the hospital I wanted to deliver at. I found the perfect doctor. Amazing. I call her. I get an appointment. It's 6 weeks out. So that means I started spotting while I was pregnant and I was freaked out. I was like, I'm having a miscarriage. I'm
Right.
having a mental breakdown. I call the office. They go, technically, you're not our patient because you've never come in.
That's insane.
We can't give you any advice. We also can't give you an emergency appointment until the 6-week appointment is the soonest we can see you.
So get your OB
So
first.
get your OB first so you could at least like see them a couple times,
Right, and
have
if
a
you have
relationship,
questions.
You can be an official patient.
So smart.
So I called, I made my appointment. I had it 6 weeks out. I love my OB. It's amazing. But when I was spotting, I had to go to urgent care. They were like trying to send me to the hospital. I had to get an emergency ultrasound. Everything was fine. Thankfully.
Was it like so expensive though?
I literally have no idea. I blacked out.
Totally.
So
Totally. Great.
so I
Yes.
literally don't remember.
Right.
But we have really good health insurance, thankfully.
Okay,
But
got
that being said, I wish I had found my OB sooner. But yeah, you're gonna call your OB. They're gonna say, see you in 6 weeks, and then you just have a mental breakdown because
For 6
for
weeks.
6 weeks you think, am I pregnant? Is this real?
Right.
What do you mean? I feel nothing. I look the same. Apparently there's a baby in here. What do you mean? Is this
Question mark,
baby
question mark,
okay?
question mark.
And you constantly think, am I gonna have a miscarriage? Because
Yeah.
like 1 out of 4 pregnancies can be a miscarriage. It potentially could be higher because a lot of people have a missed miscarriage, which they don't even really know that they're pregnant, or it's like before they go to that first appointment and they go, oh, we're not really seeing anything. So yeah, you basically just think, is this baby okay every second of
Yeah,
the
like,
day?
is this real?
Yeah,
And
every
by
second.
the way, that must feel a little bit isolating because you're like the only people who know is like you and your partner. And like it's kind of a question mark until you have more information and testing.
Yeah. And I think like if I was going to have more children, I would probably just like tell everyone sooner because
Mhm.
it doesn't like you're not saved from the pain of potentially having a miscarriage
Right.
by being in secret and
By
hiding.
yourself. It's actually probably harder.
It's probably more isolating. A lot of people have said that have
Yeah.
had miscarriages, that like friends that I know. They're like,
I'd
I
rather have
actually would have
community.
right, I should have just told people. Like maybe you don't post it on the internet, but
Sure.
like yeah, maybe you just tell all your friends
Yeah.
because it would be a lot less isolating. Like I told my best friends, we told our whole family. I told my mom like within 1 second of taking the
I would do
pregnancy
the same
test.
thing. My mom's knowing immediately.
Yeah, she knew like within 1 second. And so we told like our close friends, but I'm like, yeah, that was so crazy. And it is very isolating. And
Yeah.
you are just petrified every second of the day. And it would have been nice to talk to other people and they would have been like, oh, I was also petrified every second. That's normal.
Yeah. A little reassurance.
Yeah.
Totally. What inspired, I guess what inspired this series, What No One Tells You About Pregnancy? Because I'm obsessed with it. I'm not even close to getting pregnant, by the way. I've been on birth control for 11 years.
Yes.
Actually, 12 now, I think. That's a lot.
Yes.
In a
I
row.
was too. I was
Yeah.
for like ever.
Oh, that makes me feel better, by the way.
Yeah.
And anyone who's listening, like, it's possible.
Yes,
Like,
I got
people
off of
freak out
it
about that.
About like a year before, the only thing I got was the craziest cystic acne of my life because my body was like, your hormones are insane.
Damn.
But other than that, it didn't affect like my fertility journey.
That's great to hear because I do worry sometimes it's a long time to be on hormonal birth control. So what inspired the video series?
So I started doing my research like before that. And I would be out with friends. I was actually at my friend's birthday party. I was maybe like 20 weeks pregnant. And I was talking to another friend and I said, yeah, you gain about like 50% more blood in your body while you're pregnant. And she was like, that's insane. And I was like, yeah, after you give birth, a lot of people think that you're kind of having a period because you like bleed so much. And people think, oh, if I have a C-section, that's not going to happen to me. But that's actually not true. It's called lochia. And it's really just your body releasing all of this blood.
Extra blood that you don't need.
Extra blood that you have. Also, you're like so early on in your pregnancy, you're super out of breath because your heart is pumping all of this extra blood. And I was like talking to her about it and she was like, this is insane.
Like, why don't
people know this? And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I started just like telling her all this other information. And I was like, people don't know this.
No.
And so I thought, what no one tells you about pregnancy is like you gain 50% more blood in your body.
Yeah.
And like,
which by the way, also adds to like the weight, adds to
the
like
swelling, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I really was just thinking of all of these bits of information. And like the first thing I talked about really just like informally on TikTok, I'm like laying on my couch and I was like, when no one tells you about pregnancy is that like your partner's semen quality affects your pregnancy so much. I think got like over 1 million views.
It did, I checked.
And I was like, people don't know this.
Yeah.
People have no idea. And I have so much information in my brain that I love to talk about. It's my whole personality.
Yeah.
I was like literally at my friend's birthday party talking about this in a bar, drinking my little mocktail.
Fine.
So I was like, I want to tell the people. And
Yeah.
apparently people really wanted to know. And they were shook by the information.
Well, and that's why you're here, right? Like I think about all the time, like as someone who wants kids down the line, but like isn't quite ready. I said it in the intro. I'm astounded by how much they don't tell us about it. And it's a pretty big deal, like to not know anything about.
Yes.
We know a lot of things about a lot of things. Why isn't this number one? I don't know. I understand not everyone wants kids, but it's harrowing once you learn how much we don't know.
And the truth is, like, your OBGYN, I also had a doula, like, your support team, your OB is, and I had a really great one. I was able to have access to a really good OB, a really incredible hospital. That being said, you have your appointment and like, she is not responsible to educate you on every single thing. She told me, you're on a prenatal, right? Okay, great. She's not saying, are you also on choline?
Right.
Oh, did you take COQ10? Are you on an omega-3? Did you stop COQ10 once you got pregnant? Like, what else are you on? What kind of prenatal? What, certification does it have? What brand are you taking?
Okay.
She doesn't really have time for that.
Right.
Because, like, she's making sure that, like, this baby has a heartbeat.
Totally.
There's a lot of things that, like, I'm not able to Google that, like, she knows because she was in medical school and, like, has all this experience.
Things you might not even know to ask.
Right. So like she's dealing with a whole other set of things that like she's not really going to be like you have a more blood in your body. Like she's not
she's not Snapple cap fun fact you because
she's not there giving she's not there giving me like a lesson.
Sure.
And that's not necessarily her job.
Right.
So it's not like I blame like your OB for not giving you this information.
Right.
But it's like, there's not really anyone that it's their responsibility.
Yeah.
It's really just like yours.
I actually disagree. I think it's our education system's responsibility.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. That's very true.
I'm like,
but I mean,
like,
it's not your doctor, so don't like
it's
be
no one's
mad.
like fault.
Right. Don't be mad at your OB. But like, yeah, there's just a lot of things. Even when I went to my birthing classes, there were so many things like that all the women around me and partners around me, they just like didn't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And me and my husband are like, we have too much information
like
in our brain.
People who are not self-starters like you, who are not Googling every single thing or like researching every single thing.
Yeah.
There's so much even more that you don't know.
Right.
So, okay, ready?
I'm ready.
What does no one tell you about pregnancy? Do you have some faves?
Oh my gosh, I have so many faves. So what no one tells you about pregnancy, I feel like the biggest thing that no one tells you about pregnancy is that I mentioned this earlier, but like it really requires you to have so much of a support system in like ways that you might not imagine. There are so many single moms out there and like I applaud them so much because this is the hardest thing that I've ever gone through in my life. Your brain actually changes while you're pregnant. People say like mommy brain, pregnancy brain, the gray matter, the white matter, the percentage of each in your brain actually changes. And like you have such different priorities, not even intentionally, but like biologically, evolutionarily, you just are going to care about different things. And like I heard that, knew that, even researching that, I was like, I thought I'm going to be, I somehow thought I'm going to be different than other women. I am going to be more prepared. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to be smarter. And the truth is, I could like tear up. I'm exactly like every other woman that has gone through this. It is just as hard as every other woman says. Like, you think I'm special, I'm unique, I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to be better. Like, I'm so lucky that I'm not, because all of these other women are able to say, I went through that, and
I'm like also
I'm
crying.
so postpartum right now, but like I went through that and I'm on the other side. I went through that and I'm just as worthy of like a career. I'm just as worthy of love. I'm just as worthy of community. I'm just as worthy of friendships. Like, you're able to say I'm just like all these other women, and that's what makes me so strong.
Yeah, that's a gift.
And I feel like I wish I knew that at the beginning, because what I thought I wish I knew that at the beginning, because what I thought was I'm somehow going to beat it by having the information.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't beat pregnancy. I'm happy I was prepared, but I am the same as everyone else that goes through this process. And that is so special and beautiful and amazing. So I wish that I didn't start out thinking, I started out this journey because I wanted to beat it. I wanted to know so much that it wouldn't hurt me. It wouldn't crush me. I wouldn't lose my identity in it. But I did. And I still am trying to find myself again. But every other person that's experienced this has also had to go through that. And I feel really grateful that I've learned that. And if I could have started out at the beginning thinking, yeah, this is going to rock my world, but that's okay, I wish I knew that then. That's truly what I wish I knew.
Yeah. Triangle for future tears.
My tissues to cry more.
Genuinely emotional.
Wow, this boob has never been harder in my life.
I'm crying.
Just full of
Does
breast
it hurt?
milk. A little.
Nice.
I thought it was leaking through my shirt. Imagine leaking through a full denim outfit.
That's like a lot.
That would be a lot.
A lot wet. You're like,
I'm like, this is for a social
Keep
show.
it up.
My boob is full.
Sidebar for a sec. It's Mother's Day season, which personally I celebrate all year round because moms deserve way more than just a day. And I wanted to take a minute today to thank all the moms out there for everything they do for us, especially my mom, because there is no me without you. Function Health just released a book called Long Live Moms as a reminder that moms need to take care of themselves too. I really loved this excerpt from the book, so I'm just going to read you a quick piece of it. Moms know sacrifice, love stitched tight. They toil, the grit, the sleepless nights. They hold the world yet stand unseen, the quiet force in between. The keepers of the scraped up knees, the magic hands that calm the seas. But wise are moms who pause, who see that caring starts with caring for me. A body strong, a breath drawn deep, a heart that beats, a soul to keep. The years move fast, yet love remains. A bond unbroken, thread through veins. So long live the ones who teach us how to love ourselves, to live well now. Long live the hearts, the wisdom, the care. Long live moms everywhere. If you are a mom or have a mother figure in your life, I'm sure this poem resonates. I feel like it's such a powerful reflection of the sacrifices a mother makes and the love and joy they bring into the world. I literally had to record this twice because I got choked up reading it the first time. If you don't know Function Health, it's an all-in-one health platform that helps you take control of your health through data. Instead of guessing what's happening inside your body, Function helps you know for sure, providing access to 100+ advanced lab tests. These tests include insights into thyroid function, hormones, liver health, heart health, autoimmunity, kidney function, nutrient levels, heavy metal toxicity, immune system, electrolytes, and more. With Function, your first set of tests helps establish a baseline of your health, giving you a starting point to compare future tests against. This makes it easy to spot changes, even subtle ones, and address them proactively. For all my moms out there, Function Health is the best way to care for you so you can continue to care for them. Get Function Health's Long Live Moms book for free at functionhealth.com/capslock and learn more about how Function Health can help you take better care of you. That's functionhealth.com/capslock.
What no one tells you about pregnancy is the labor interventions that are available to you or that might happen when you're in labor. People think, okay, you could just have a C-section or have a vaginal delivery and that's really it. First of all, you can have an induction, right? Which you might have heard of. Okay, that means they're going to make me have the baby.
Sure.
How do I do that? There are so many different ways to have an induction. You could have a Foley balloon. They literally put a balloon in your cervix to open it up. You could have an induction with Pitocin. You could have Cytotec. You could have Cervidil, different like cervical ripening agents like that soften your cervix. You could have Pitocin, which brings on more strong contractions. It's like synthetic oxytocin.
Okay.
Because oxytocin is what makes you have your contractions. So you could have those inductions. Then you have a C-section. Are you going to have a gentle C-section, which means that you might have like a sheer curtain so you can see the baby but not really see all your guts.
Sure.
And like see the baby being
Wait,
born.
I like that.
Are you going to be able to like, is it a scheduled C-section? Is it an emergency C-section? They're usually not medical emergencies because if it's an emergency, babe, they're going to say C-section right now.
Yeah.
They're going to say C-section right now.
Right.
If your doctor's saying, do you want a C-section because you're having failure to progress is usually the term they'll use. That means speed it up because we're on the clock.
Yeah.
That might mean you might have a great doctor and it might mean because you're having some complications, they think you're going to have some irreparable damage if you continue to labor. Or it might mean we want to make more money. We want to get this C-section going. It might mean I'm on the clock, babe. I'm supposed to clock out and I want to get this labor over with. Like some hospitals, doctors, incredible, amazing, iconic. Some, they want your money. So like if they're saying, do you want a C-section? That means it's optional. You must have informed consent for every medical decision. And so these interventions, you get to say, what is that? Why do I need that? What would happen if I did nothing? What would happen if we gave it more time? What are the alternatives? You get to ask those questions. And a lot of people don't know anything baseline. So in the moment, you're panicked. So like what no one tells you about pregnancy is all of the different labor interventions that exist and to learn those before you get to the hospital.
Yeah, I love that. That's so interesting. I would never have known that either because, and also I do feel like in the moment, if you're panicked and they say like, do you want a C-section?
You're going to
might
believe your
feel-
doctor.
Yeah, you might feel like you need one because they're asking and just be like, yeah, whatever. And that's not how I like to operate. I think that's not how a lot of people like to operate. So that's good.
Absolutely.
And you said you had one more big one.
Yes, my other one is what no one tells you about pregnancy is that you have after birth contractions. So you've gone through this labor, babe, and labor is the craziest thing on this earth. It is crazy. And so you go through labor and then you think, I did it. The pain is over. Now I have my body back. Like la 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 la. But no, if you breastfeed, especially every single time you breastfeed, you have the worst period cramps of your life.
Sorry, what?
That are just absolutely rocking your socks.
You don't mean like after birth, like directly in the bed?
No, directly. So like literally my baby.
But then you're still after that also?
Yeah, for like a few days. So immediately after my baby was born, he latched. Icon, amazing.
King.
We love it. So
Short
great.
king.
Great breastfeeding journey for us. And so he's literally born. He's like hungry and like literally latches. And I'm like, nice to meet you, sir.
Hello,
This is my
here's
boob.
my
Like
boob.
just met you for the first time. Cool. And he latches and I go, ow, ouch, because it makes your uterus start to contract. Your uterus has about a dinner plate size wound in it. And I got to see my placenta. My husband touched it because he was all up in there. He was icon, king,
him.
amazing,
I love
10 out of 10
Richard.
partner. He was like, I thought this would be gross, but it's not. And I was like,
You're like-
I think it's
you're like, it is.
it's grosser than you do. Your placenta leaves a dinner plate size wound in your uterus. So that needs to close. That needs to shrink down. Your baby is helping you. We love it. So every time you breastfeed, you feel these rockin' contractions of your uterus shrinking down. So heating pad was my BFF because I never had bad period contractions in my life. And then I said, oh, this is what everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
He would breastfeed. I'd be like, ow, 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 doing my contraction breathing. Literally, my husband would hold my hand.
I've never heard anyone talk
and
about
we would do
this.
contraction breathing for several days.
God, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Those are really good ones. Something that I think is becoming a lot more popular these days is unmedicated births because I just think we're in the most informed health era of the world. And we hear so much about like detoxifying your life, like removing modern medicine in some cases, which like I don't always agree
Sure,
with,
yeah.
but like everyone has to make their own decisions. But unmedicated birth is something I'm hearing a lot about. And it's a question that more people are asking, like, should I do this? Is this available to me? What does it mean? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
How did you decide to go with an unmedicated birth?
So I always envisioned getting doing an unmedicated birth. My mom
Wow.
had me unmedicated. She used to tell me my birth story all the time, and she was like, "Yeah, all I said was like, ow." She literally would say like that. She kept being
Okay.
like, "Ow, ow," and the doctor was like, "Okay, girl, like
Like, I
that's
get
an
it.
insane like thing to be saying giving birth." I was also only like 5 pounds. My son was 9 pounds, so that was like
Nice.
crazy.
Awesome.
That being said, my mom had me unmedicated. My one grandma had 7 children. My other had 5, all unmedicated. My aunts had unmedicated births. They were all like, "Yeah, girl, you just like, it's great. Like, it's fine." So that
That's
was what I always
insane.
heard.
Sure.
That being said, it was not that chill. It
Yeah.
was not that chill, but I like didn't really, I thought everyone says they have amnesia when they give birth. So I just like didn't really believe them that much. I was like, it definitely hurts a lot more.
Yeah.
But I always believed it would be unmedicated. That was always like what I manifested and envisioned. Once I started learning a lot more, I learned about the cascade of interventions, which is basically once you start on a medication, there is a high chance that it will cascade to more interventions. So kind of what I mentioned earlier, it'll be more medication. It might eventually be a C-section. It just you're more likely to get more interventions if you start with an
one.
intervention,
Got it.
right? So I thought, why would I want that unless I medically needed it? I was very open. If we need an emergency C-section, we're getting that.
Totally.
If we need, if I went past 41 to 42 weeks, I'm going to need an induction.
Right.
Because then you start getting different kinds of risks.
Right.
So like I was definitely open to it because I was informed. I gave birth in a hospital. Like I didn't do a home birth.
Right.
I kind of met in the middle with like, I want it unmedicated, but I want to be in a medical setting in case I needed that.
Sure.
For safety. That was like what felt good for me. But I always thought I'd have an unmedicated birth. And this kind of leads into like the birth plan that I had, which was very detailed. I wanted it to be like fit on one page because I was like, no one's going to read this if it's 5 pages.
Yeah, you want them to be able to like reference it.
Right. I spoke to my doctor about it. It was uploaded in my chart. It was something that she had agreed to. I had 5 laminated copies in the hospital.
I love you.
It was just on the table, and every single nurse doctor that came in read it. They respected it to a freaking T, to the point that I forgot what was on it, that they were like, this is part of your birth plan.
They
and
reminded
I was
you?
like, yeah. I was like, what are you doing? And they were like, you asked for this.
That's on good doctors.
They were incredible. So I will say, like, on your birth plan, you can say, if I get a C-section, if I need a C-section, I request a gentle C-section. I want these kinds of things. I want my husband to be able to take pictures. I want my husband to be able to be with me. I want no IV unless it's required. I want a hep lock, which means they can access my vein. It's in there. All they have to do is like click it in.
Sure.
Most hospitals do require that, but like I want a hep lock. I want it in my forearm, or I want it in my hand. You can speak about these different things. I want to have access to a birthing ball, a warm shower. I want to be able to be on my feet. I want to be without any cords or wires, like keeping me connected to the bed. I personally had on mine, I want to deliver in a squat position with a squat bar. So that was when I was shocked. They
build the bed.
I thought, what's this gymnastics equipment that you're bringing over, babe? Because I was 9 hours into labor. They slap on this like bar and they go, that's your squat
You
bar.
asked for this.
I was like, what is this?
Dang.
So like, that's what I mean, that they followed it to a T.
That's amazing.
What I will say is, a lot of people make fun of birth plans. They go, my birth plan is just to have my baby and not die. Yeah, babe, that's the bare minimum. I don't know why it's giving, when people say like in school, oh, you're trying so hard. Like you're such a try hard. Yeah, I'm trying hard because I want an A.
Right.
I'm trying hard because I want to go to college.
I'm trying hard because I want to learn something.
I'm trying hard because that's the kind of girl I am. I will be a try hard in my pregnancy and in my labor so that my son, my baby, and me, I'm his only advocate. I'm the only person that can like defend him and hope that he has like a good, healthy like entry to this world. I will be a try hard. Like, don't make fun of birth plans.
I never will understand when people are like, you try so hard. You care so much.
Yes.
Like it's a bad
Correct.
thing. That is insane. Yes, I care. I get to live this lifetime one time. And ideally, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You're such a loser.
Literally.
Loser.
I got so many like TikToks that were like, this is my birth plan. Like, blah, blah, blah. No, I had a very detailed birth plan. Everyone respected it. It all happened. It was like, thank you to me for having that. And also my husband knew my birth plan. He knew every single thing ever that they could have said.
Yeah.
And he would have been able to advocate for me and speak on it. So like, make your birth plan.
Yeah. I also want to clarify, like, it's not that you're a loser if you don't have a birth plan. It's a loser if you make fun of other people for having a birth plan.
I co-sign this.
Yeah, that's really fucked up. But I'm really happy for you that you and Richard and every single person, it sounds like in the hospital, had the plan, knew the plan, and respected it. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So sounds, based on our conversation, like your unmedicated labor went unusually smoothly. Can you do like the cliff notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did the birth go?
Yeah. So basically, I was 39 weeks and 3 days. So I was almost at 40 weeks, which is
Where they're like,
full,
get it out,
full,
get 'em
full.
out.
And so I had an appointment with my OB that day. She did a membrane sweep, which you can Google it if you don't know what that is, because I'm doing it quick.
Love.
Then I got home, labored at home overnight. So I had contractions through the whole night I was up, and I told Richard to sleep because I was like, you're going to need your strength tomorrow.
Oh my God.
So I was sitting on my birth ball, did not sleep, up the entire night, timing my contractions.
No.
At 5 a.m., I call my mom, call my doula. My doula comes. She goes, hospital now. I thought we were going to labor more at home. I ordered bagels. I did not eat any. She said,
No.
hospital now. I said, great. The car ride, so hard. So hardest part, one of the hardest parts. The car ride.
All
when
right,
you're
I
in
mean, that's
labor,
like a little bumpy.
yeah, it's bumpy. You're in another dimension. It is so, apparently it was raining. I didn't know.
Cool.
I was in outer space. I get to the hospital. They start asking me questions. I go, I didn't think you'd talk to me because
Like,
I'm in labor.
can we just lay down,
Can I
please?
just like get it out? Like get the baby out.
Hello?
So I get in.
What did they ask you?
They're like, your social security number.
No.
Like, we're like, I don't
Talk to my
They said,
husband,
your
for the love of
insurance. I
God.
was like,
Your insurance?
no. I was like, I don't have my insurance card. My husband has
Fuck
it.
the fuck
He's
off.
parking the car, dude. Like what?
I'm so confused.
So I go in with my doula. They bring you into triage. They check you. They give you what's called a Bishop score, which is like how dilated, effaced, and your station, like where the baby's at, basically. They were like, okay, you're good. They bring me to my room, and I labor for 9 hours. That is actually considered a short labor. Your first child is usually 12 to 24 hours on average.
Oh my God.
And so that means, you know, you can get your epidural whenever you want in that process, but obviously I wasn't getting one. That's why I labored at home as long as possible. So I'm laboring on my birthing ball, on all fours, all these things. Keep in mind my water hasn't broken. Only 15% of labors start with your water breaking.
Whoa, that is a misconception.
People think like my water's gonna break.
Yeah.
No, that's usually not the first thing. So I was, you know, laboring in all these different positions. Then I knew that at this hospital they had nitrous oxide, or they call it gas and air. Like in the UK, it's very common, which is like what you get when you're at the dentist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cross the placenta, meaning it doesn't affect the baby
Wow.
whatsoever. The epidural does, which like to different degrees, epidurals can be different in every hospital. They're not actually the same everywhere.
Whoa.
So your epidural does. I thought if I had access to nitrous oxide, I'm going to take it. They ended up saying we have it and we can use it in your room. So I use that, which kind of just takes the edge off a little bit.
Love.
But you still feel everything.
Totally.
The pain was 10 out of 10, if I'm being honest.
Be
but
honest.
now I think I'm the strongest person on this earth, babe.
Yeah, that's badass.
An hour after giving birth, I said, I'm running the marathon and maybe I do an Ironman because literally I could do anything. I said, literally could do anything.
Yeah.
If climbing Mount Everest wasn't like horrible for the environment and $1 million, I would do that because
That is
I could.
insane.
Like I was like, I'm so strong. That's crazy. So fast forward to I was kind of turning over and my husband's doing counter pressure on my back and my water pops in his face.
No, it
And
didn't.
he loves me so much. He was not
Right,
grossed out.
not the gas from Destiny over there.
My husband wasn't grossed out by anything because he's an icon.
Yeah, he is an icon
He
and a
wasn't
legend. And
grossed
Richard, this
out.
episode is for you.
This episode's for you, Richard. This is a love letter to you because I love him so much more. My doula said, I tell everyone I want to love like how Richard loves Taylor. That man really loves you. My water popped in his face. He goes, that's okay. I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick. But he didn't want to miss anything. So he like sprinted over, wiped his face, sprinted back.
I love him.
Ultimately, they bring the squat bar. I go in my squat position. They go, can you come all the way? I said, CrossFit. It's giving CrossFit. I'm going to sumo squat. Then the nurse goes, you could reach down and feel his head.
Did you?
I did. In that moment, if you're only going to see this, if you like watch the video, my face, I literally went like this.
No, you
I
didn't.
said, lock in, bitch.
Absolutely.
I literally, my eyebrows came down. I went, I did that physically.
I'm
I
crying.
said, lock in.
Okay.
And
He has been turned.
he has been turned. And the next contraction, I summoned everything into my soul spirit body and I pushed him out in one push. The doctor was across the room putting his little PPE on. He was putting his mask on. The nurses said, wait. And I said, no. And I pushed his whole body out. Usually people say, I push for this long. I don't have a time because I literally pushed his whole body out. And he didn't even, apparently he wasn't caught. He just flopped on the bed.
I'm crying. They weren't ready for you.
They weren't ready.
No one expected that.
They
to
weren't
happen.
ready. I did tear. It was okay.
Did it hurt so
no,
bad?
because I was pushing out a baby. I didn't
Yeah,
feel
you
the
were not
tear.
focused on that.
No, and then he's on my chest while they're stitching me up. So I was like, I don't care. They do like some local anesthetic. It was fine. My tear healed.
You have the
Everything was great.
euphoria of baby on
Yeah,
chest.
the
Like,
baby's born.
You're in a different planet.
And it was, I think birth, no matter what, is a little bit traumatic because it's crazy. Like I was screaming for 9 hours. That I had to process because that was like insane. But you know, it was sick. I'm so cool.
That's sick.
I feel awesome about myself.
It actually is. It does bring me confidence, I guess, to know that like, yeah, it hurts so fucking bad that you did that. It's like obviously to a different degree, but you know, you run a marathon so hard, but you fucking did that.
Right.
Like you get a medal afterwards and you post about it on Instagram. This is that times 1 million.
Times 1 million.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Obsessed. There are so many more things that we could ask, but for the sake of time and brevity and all the things, there's like kind of one question that I want to ask about the whole process overall that doesn't really fit into one specific category, but like, you know, I think we have been talking a lot about like the physical changes, the mental health changes. You're a fitness girl. One of the like primary things I think about as a fitness girl is like my body's different forever after this. Like from the moment of conception, your body is different forever after this. How did you wrap your mind around that? And how do you continue to wrap your mind around that now that he's how many?
He's 8 weeks.
Shut up.
He's a little 8-week baby.
He's an adult. Is he going to high school right now?
He's such a little chunky chicken. I love him so much.
Cutest baby ever. How do you wrap your brain around that? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, as someone that, I mean, as all of us do, honestly, had an eating disorder at one point, have had so much body dysmorphia, being like a trainer, being an actor. Every job I've ever had has been based off of how I look.
Right. And
literally
you
for
see
my
yourself a lot. You think about your body a lot.
Absolutely. So as someone that has always like thought so much about my body, getting pregnant, I will cry again. Getting pregnant has been the most healing experience of my life.
Wow.
Because like I said to myself the entire time, like there was not a heart and now there is a heart. There was not a brain and now there is a brain. Like
I have full body chills.
This baby, like every hair on his head, every pore on his face, like every eyelash on his eyes, like I did that. Like every part of him when he smiles, like I did that.
Oh my God.
Like every part of this perfect baby boy, like I made that. And how could I hate my body when it did that for me? It gave me the most beautiful, perfect, like best friend that I will ever have in my life. And I think about most of my life with him, he won't even be a baby. He'll be an adult.
Yeah.
He'll be this grown man that's like my best friend and like that me and my husband can like share our life with. And I made him. And so how could I hate my body when it has stretch marks? When I said my belly button was like inside out, upside down, it really was. I had an innie. It was the craziest outie you ever saw in your life. But like my body has already healed so much and my body is so strong. It went through that labor. It went through that delivery that was so hard. And like she did that. And I feel like my body has so many scars. I have loose skin. I have crepey skin. I have like, it looks so different. Right now, one of my boobs is rock solid, like full of breast milk right now.
I'm thinking about her.
But it's like, I can't be mad at her.
Yeah.
I will probably have the best relationship with my body now for the rest of my life because of what it's done, even though it looks, you know, potentially some might say worse than it did before. I love her so much because of like what it has given me and the strength that I know I have. And it truly has healed like any hangups I've ever had because I'm like, this body is amazing.
That's amazing because my fear is the opposite. Is like, I'm already so critical of my body. I'll hate it more. And it's really, really inspiring and like motivating and calming all at the same time to hear that it has actually healed.
Yeah. And I'm sure some people do absolutely struggle with that. It's just, for me, it's been like so healing.
That's amazing. Okay, we have like 75 seconds left. So we're going to, triangle a little quick. And we're going to hard pivot into like funny rapid fire. I'm so sorry.
I love
Not to invalidate the crying we both just did, but we got to move.
I'm ready.
Best investment you made during the pregnancy journey?
Definitely my like hyper ice compression boots, which are like a real investment. My husband used them for marathon training, but he actually got them because I knew I'd use them when I was pregnant. And I was not that swollen. My legs were like doing great.
That's amazing.
Like really helped, but talk to your doctor because if you have high blood pressure, you can't use them.
Got it. Worst investment you made?
Even though I did use it every night, my husband and I both hated my pregnancy pillow so deeply.
Why?
Like, you need it because you're so uncomfortable and your body is like a crazy shape and you like need support. But it just like, it was between us for like the whole time. So he would just like touch my pinky toe and I would just like reach my hand backwards and I was like, love you, girl. Like, see you in 9 months. But now we cuddle like people say, oh, when you've been together 10 years, you don't really cuddle. No, we're like literally wrapped around each other.
Like inside the
skin.
Like,
I haven't seen you in so long.
I'm crying. Yeah, people say that the first hug after the belly is gone is amazing because you're fully touching.
Like crawl into his body. Would love that.
I'm a big like cuddler, and my boyfriend like kind of can't fall asleep if we're cuddling, so he'll literally stay awake so that I can fall asleep and then roll me over so he can fall asleep.
So funny.
But sometimes if it's hot, because I run hot, we'll just hold pinkies.
He's gonna love the pregnancy pillow someday. He's gonna be like, yes,
he'll be like, I can sleep for how long?
Get away from me.
Literally. Okay, what was your biggest food craving?
Everything covered in cheese. So I would like wake up, eat a grilled cheese,
eat a cheese,
wake up, eat a grilled cheese, eat a quesadilla for lunch, order Taco Bell every day.
Shut up.
This baby survived off Taco Bell.
Obsessed. Cheese is like nutritionally
big cheese girl. Cheeseburger after all my OBGYN appointments.
Totally.
Like big cheese girl.
What food made you want to die?
It didn't like make me, I didn't have any food aversions that made me like sick, but coffee, I like really hated. I was like, ew.
Are you back on coffee or you still hate it?
No, I'm back on coffee.
Okay.
Towards like the end of my 3rd trimester, I was like a little bit more into coffee.
Interesting. Most unhinged thing someone said to you while pregnant?
Oh my God. So I was like 200 pounds when I was pregnant. I gained like 50 pounds-ish. And I like carried pretty big. Like my belly right away was like pretty big. Like I was like 10 weeks and showing, and people would be like, you're so big for X amount of weeks. Any amount of weeks I said I was so
like,
big for
shut
it.
The fuck up.
I was on the way back from my baby moon, a full stranger on the plane. I felt great. Everyone was so kind to me on my baby moon. Everyone was like, you're so beautiful. You're glowing. You're the most beautiful pregnant woman on this earth. I was like, yeah, I am. Goddess, amazing, like thriving, living. On the plane, this woman was like, oh my God, how many weeks are you? I was like, 20 weeks. She goes, you're so big for 20 weeks.
Okay, so we're lying when we say how far along we are because what the fuck is that?
I lied. I started making up due dates. I started lying about everything because everyone was telling me I was
due tomorrow.
Literally, everyone was telling me I was so big all the time, and it made me feel so bad.
Yeah, duh.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're so mean. So yeah, people were so I was apparently the biggest girl. Me and Richard would say I was the biggest girl in class. And I just like, I'm the biggest girl in class. Like I'm the biggest girl in school, apparently. So yeah, people were constantly telling me I was huge. My doorman would go, whoa, looking big today. I was like, do I hate you?
Fucking insane.
So yeah, apparently, guys, I was the biggest girl in the world. My baby was 9 pounds. So like, leave me alone. But also, whatever. I liked it. God. I wanted people that
you're like, yeah, I'm making a huge professional athlete. Fuck off, guys.
That's insane.
Best way to support your pregnant friend.
You did it, Sam. You sent me a little Uber gift card, a little Uber Eats. That was so sweet of you. I cried. I cried all for everything. I cry all the time. I'm a huge crybaby. Every time I cry on the internet, people are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I just cry a lot. I cried twice in this one podcast episode.
You go, I'm fine. Crying.
It's genuine. But honestly, your friends, they just want food gift cards. They really do, especially if after they give birth.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna like freeze food and prep food. They're not gonna want it. They're gonna say that's gross.
Story of my life, I meal prep and then I
they don't want it. They don't want that. They're like, that's disgusting. Can you please send me a gift card so I can order sushi? That's what they want. So they want gift cards. They want food.
Great. Amazing. What's a thing people do that they think they're being supportive, but really is like making your life worse?
I mean, in terms of pregnancy, there was not really anything that people did that was like, they thought they were helping me and they weren't. I feel like it was pretty good. Everything my friends did, I was like, love this for me. Like, just like hanging out with me, being supportive, like touching the belly. People would ask me, oh, is it okay? It was pretty much like, if I'm hanging out with you, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're like a stranger in the supermarket, then like, no, it's not okay. But that never happened to me. It was always like people that I knew, and they'd be like, Richard's grandma was like, is it okay? I'm like, yes, girl, get all up in here. You can lay your whole face on my stomach. Like, that's fine. I'm like, do whatever you want. So I guess touching the stomach, people thought that was annoying, but like, I was like, love it. Like, yes, there's a baby in here. For postpartum, I feel like a lot of times people say like, I don't want you to hold the baby while I do other stuff. I want you to do other stuff and I'll hold my own baby. For me, it's different. I give my mom the baby so I can like do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I only clean my house the way I want to.
Yeah.
I only,
same way.
Yeah. I only do things the way I want to. My husband was trying to like make me food when I was pregnant. By the time I was like a month and a half, I was like, you don't warm it up right. You don't put this dressing on the way I like.
You're like, get out of my way.
Just let me do it, you know?
Yeah.
So at first, yes, when you're one day home from the hospital and you're like bleeding and dying, do whatever you want to help me. But, you know, eventually I was like, I want to do it myself.
Yeah, like I'm a grown up.
But the best thing is you can ask people. You can say, what do you want, babe?
Yeah.
You can tailor it to them.
Yeah, I love that. You know what? That's the best thing
best
to
thing-
do is to
you
just
can
ask. Yeah, be normal. Okay, best and worst pregnancy advice you got in like one sentence or less.
Best pregnancy advice I ever got is from myself to myself. So shout out to me.
Yeah.
And it's to be educated. No one really tells you that. Everyone just tells you go with the flow. Don't stress yourself out. Don't stress yourself out, but you should know what's going on in your body. You only get one.
I would like to thank me.
You only get one. So like know what's going on in your body. That's the best advice from myself to myself and now to you.
Love.
And the worst advice I got is whenever I would tell people I wanted to do an unmedicated birth, which like probably shouldn't have told like random woman in the elevator maybe, they would be like, no, you don't get a medal for doing that. Like just get the epidural. So many people told me that and I disagree. I didn't want to.
What? That's
so
insane.
I'm glad I did not.
Yeah. How about like shut up, stranger? Okay, last one. And I know it's gonna be hard. This is a hard one because he's a king on this earth. What is the best thing, singular thing, that Richard did for you? And the answer can't be everything because I want someone to send this to their man and be like, do this.
Okay. The best thing that Richard did for me was when I was in labor, there were moments that I thought, I cannot go on. I cannot do this. And Richard would put crying for the third time.
Triangle.
Just a compilation of me crying on this podcast. He would put his forehead to my forehead and he would hold my hand and he would show me the picture of our 3D ultrasound. And he would be like, this is why you're doing this. This is our baby. Like, you got this. And he would like breathe with me. And I felt like we were like breathing the same air. And he would just be like, deep breath in, exhale out. And he would like hold my hands. And that was the best thing anyone's ever done for me in my life.
It's like the fourth time you've given me full body chills and tears.
And yeah, that was incredible. And he did that throughout my labor. And that is what helped me. Like, truly, the baby would still be in there. Otherwise, I would have been like, never mind.
Two right now in your
I'd
stomach.
be like, he's just staying in there.
People are like, how far along are you? You're like, he's actually 2.5 years old.
He just lives there.
I love that because if I miss my boyfriend, because he doesn't live with me yet, he moves in like next week. But if I miss my boyfriend, I'm like, can we touch foreheads tomorrow? That's what I say. And so that's really cute. And I'm going to make him touch my forehead while I'm in labor.
Yes,
Thanks.
it was magical.
Taylor, I love you. And you're a super, superhero. And like, I think people say that a lot, but it doesn't really mean anything. But I want you to know it means something coming from me. This was really helpful and informative and actionable. And of course, we encourage everyone to like do their own research. But I think like there's so much that an expert or a doctor can tell you. And it sounds redundant or it sounds like a trope or it sounds like exercise and eat healthy and do this and that.
Yeah.
And like you almost ignore it because you hear it so much. And so I think like getting vulnerable and specific and like really talking about what helped you and what you experienced and like what people don't talk about enough is just something that I think is so helpful. And as someone who's not even like I'm not doing this because I'm pregnant. Like, you know, like I think a lot of people talk about pregnancy because they're pregnant and everyone's like, oh, it's all about you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it because I think we should all learn some stuff before we get there. And you're the queen of that. You're the queen of learning stuff before you get there.
Absolutely.
So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Love you.
Love you.